Hi everyone, it's Patty. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm playing with some Deco Foil Transfer Gel and Deco Foil Transfer Duo. So I'm starting off with a Hero Arts stencil. It's called Marbling, and I'm using Deco Foil Transfer Duo. Spreading it with my, I believe it's from Nuvo, a little spatula from Nuvo. And then I'm getting my Ranger stenciling tool. Actually, I think it's a Simon Hurley Ranger stenciling tool to spread the gel. I did not do well getting it to the edges. It was hard to see. It was white on white, so it's not going to foil as well as it could have around the edges, but that's totally user error. And here I'm going to use a foam and put some of the Deco Foil Transfer Duo onto the stamps, and it doesn't go well because I was using a foam stamp that I'd already used for this, and it dried up and it was kind of hard, so it was not distributing the product well onto the stamps. But that was user error. When I changed out the foam stamp and did it on a different stamp, it worked beautifully. So that was totally user error. But the technique is the same. I get some, I put it on my glass board, pick it up with the dauber, it just, or the blender, and just get it, stamp it on the stamp, or tap it on the stamp. And you can do that multiple times if you need to, which I probably should have. I think I do it twice, but it still didn't work out well. There's just some places where it wasn't as thick as it needed to be, and that's totally my fault. So I had zero issues with the foam dauber that I used for the Deco Foil Transfer Gel, which that one's for heat. The Duo you can use without heat, so I was trying to see which one worked better. They both worked great. So if you are someone that has no foiling machine like a Mink or Gina K's beautiful new machine, or just even a laminator, you can purchase this Deco Foil Transfer Duo for less than $6 and do some of the same things with stencils or with stamps, which is wonderful. So running that first layer through my die cutting machine, my Spellbinders die cutting machine, and I was trying to figure out why it didn't work on the edges, and I finally, after a couple minutes of fussing, and you'll just see me, I'm showing the mistakes, see me touching the edges and realizing they weren't sticky because I didn't get any of the product there. So I peel it off, and you can see where it skipped some spots, where I skipped some spots. But the great thing is this stencil set covered all those spots. The stencil turned out so cool. Really happy with it. So I'm trying to fix it, thinking that it was just not enough pressure from the machine. But I'm learning that's not the case. I'm gonna run it through one more time with a cardstock shim. And this, by the way, is Deco Foil Turquoise that I'm using for the first layer. So peeling it off, still trying to fix it. And now I'm touching it and like, oh, I didn't get any of the gel medium there. So now I'm going over with the second part of the stencil, again using Deco Foil Transfer Duo, spreading it with my Ranger palette knife, and I'll use my Simon Hurley stencil tool here in a minute to get it even while I'm heating up my Mink to do the other stenciling. So for some of these projects that I'm running through the Mink, I use the Deco Foil Transfer Gel. And I did the same technique where I used a blending foam and daubed it onto the stamp. and then ran it through the ink machine, and it worked beautifully. And I also used a Pretty Pink Posh stencil, and it worked beautifully. So here I'm putting it's Deco Foil Rainbow Shattered Glass foil, and it's gorgeous. And I'm running it through my ink machine. And the stamp I used is it was a Hero Arts red rubber stamp, and it was called Spice Market. And it worked so well. It wasn't going through straight. But that's user error again. There we go. So anyway, it's Hero Arts Spice Market. I had daubed on some Deco Foil transfer gel, let it dry, and now I'm running it through my ink machine. And my ink machine probably warmed up for about 5 to 7 minutes. And now for the next thing, I'm using some Simon Says Stamp Deco Foil Gold that I got out of a card kit. So this card panel, I had just done some basic daisy stamping on there. Cutting it down to size, and I saved all those scraps. But I only have one carrier sheet. So while I'm running that through, we'll take a peek at this. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, that foil is so gorgeous. I love it. I might do a little, that's going to go on a black toner sheet. That's so pretty. I might do a little ink blending over that. I haven't decided. It's such a pretty panel. I don't want to wreck it. So I'm still thinking about it. So then this card, those were the daisies, and now I'm gonna get, I believe these are the sentiments that you saw me dabbing the Deco Foil Transfer Duo on. And I'm using some Gina K Gold on those. I believe that's what I'm doing. Yeah, some Gina K. Oh, it's the Glimmery Sequin foil from Gina K. And it was really pretty. I'm so mad I didn't do a good job dabbing on the stuff because it was really pretty. See how my daisies turned out? That's so cute. And then after this is done, I'm going to be using Gina K and Deco Foil's Sweet Mango. See, the sentiments just didn't work out. And that was from a Simon Says Stamp. Floral Bliss was the stamp set. That's where the daisies came from too. See, that worked beautifully. It's amazing what happens when you use the right tools. So then this was the same stamp, the Hero Arts Spice Market, but because I didn't do a good job or have a good foam on, it didn't work as well. Doesn't mean I can't still use that. I think I'm still thinking about it, but what I'm gonna do is I'm trying to reheat it and to see if that'll help. Cut it kind of on a diagonal so I can have that be part of the card and then have a different color card alongside it, and then put the sentiment over the foiled part. But that'll be for another day. Trying it one more time. Look at how pretty that Sweet Mango is. So the mink worked really well. Everything worked well. So I do have to say, if you are someone who doesn't have, the ability to buy a mink or a laminator, you can get the Deco Foil Transfer Duo, which you can use heat with or not use heat because it dries so sticky. And do these techniques. You just run them through your machine, or you can even, I think for some of it, I just took a bone folder and rubbed it on, and the foil came off beautifully. So now I believe I'm running, I had used Pretty Pink Posh's stencil that was birthday words with the Deco Foil Rainbow Shattered Glass. Isn't that gorgeous? That foil's so pretty. For a birthday panel, that's going to be for a man. And that turned out so great. So now I've got, it's the Simon Says Stamp. Oh, I can't remember. I took a leaf out of it to use on the daisies because the Floral Bliss didn't have a leaf small enough to go with the daisies. Yeah, it was Floral Bliss, and what's the other one? Not quite sure. I apologize. It's such a great set too. I'll have it on my blog. I'm so sorry. I'm blanking on that one. So anyway, lining up the leaves, I'm stamping them with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And so each daisy is going to get 2 leaves. So lining them up and going through with that. Oh, Woodland Whimsy. That's the name of the stamp set that I got the leaves off. And it's got a cute little hedgehog and a bunny. And it's a beautiful stamp set for baby showers or new babies or even children's birthdays or creating cute little characters for scrapbook pages. It's a wonderful stamp set. So anyway, got the leaves on, cleaning them up, putting them away. And then we are going to color this card with Prismacolored pencils because there's nothing I love more than on craft cardstock than coloring with colored pencils. So we're starting off with white. And so remember, you need a really sharp pencil and just do little circles and go in layers. So this is my first layer. So I'll do a couple of them. That brush I use is from Nuvo. Tonic Studios, and colored pencils shed, especially when they're really sharp. They shed little bits of their colored pigmented lead, and you want to brush them away with a brush, not your hand. I have smeared pigments on things that I have almost finished coloring before. It's just heartbreaking. So use a brush. Okay, so I'm coming in with my 20% warm gray and then going over that with a 70% warm gray. And now I'm coming in with my second layer of white to blend all of that out. And then I'll come in the center with canary yellow, Prismacolor canary yellow. And then I'm using spring green. And I should probably give you these numbers. So spring green is Prismacolor 913, and then the darker one is grass green, which is Prismacolor 909. So I'm using white, and then 20% warm gray, which is 1051, 70% warm gray, which is 1056, canary yellow, which is 916, spring green is 913, and grass green is 909. So those are all the Prismacolored pencils that I used on this card, and I'm carrying it over to the next card as well. So spring green, the grass green, and I did that throughout the rest of the card. So now on this card, this is the one, I still use the Floral Bliss, but I used the main stamp, not an accessory stamp. So I'm using the same color, the spring green, which is, again, Prismacolor 913. And that's the base color on all the leaves of this kind of leaf. There's other leaves which I use a different color on. But for this one, the brighter spring green is the base color. And I'm being very careful not to color on the foil. I did that on the flower portion, the 3 flowers that are at the base of the display here. What would you call it? Bouquet. And the foil still shines through, but it's not as shiny. Even though I buffed it off, the foil's not as shiny. So now I'm coming in with grass green, and I'm realizing these leaves are a little bigger and I need a third color. Still doing little circles, and I'm going almost halfway up using the grass green, and then I'm going to blend it out with white. And on these, I'm looking at them and I'm like, we need one more color. I need a medium and then a darker. So I'm going over it with spring green to see if that helps with it, and it just doesn't. So I go back to my colored pencils and I pull out Kelly green, and that's Prismacolor 1096. So I start using that as my medium, going over that. and I like it a lot better. We've got light, medium, dark. I can go up a little further with the Kelly green. It just all blends out a little better. So going back in with the grass green to darken them up again. And that's how then I do these leaves. I do the exact same thing on the other side. Got the spring green down, come in with the Kelly, go in with the grass green, blend it out with the white, and call it a day on those. Okay, so now I'm going to come in. Oh, got to blend those out. And then off camera, there's 2 daisies in this stamp, and I colored them exactly the same as I did the other daisies. So now I'm going in for the 3, I'm going to call them roses, or there might be peonies as well. They're probably peonies now that I'm looking at them. Okay, so the 3 peonies, I color them all pink. First, I do that base layer of all pink, which is, the name of the color is Rose, and it's Prismacolor 929 Rose. So they all get that base pink so that they're easier, the darker colors are easier to blend on it. So again, really sharp colored pencil, coloring in little circles to get the best coverage. But it's not perfect coverage, and that's okay because we're coming in with other colors and then blending. So I don't have to get perfect coverage with the first layer. So now I am coming in with Mulberry, which is Prismacolor 995. And I'm darkening some things up. You really won't see much of that light pink. It was just a nice color to lay a base layer for blending. So I'm creating shadows and then coming in then with rose pink, which is 993. And I'm blending out the darker areas a little bit with that, and then coming in with the lightest pink rose to do a little better blend. And then moving on to the next flower and doing pretty much the same thing. I think I finish this one and then I move on to something else. So this time, the way it's drawn, the they single out certain petals, and on the top peony, I chose to make those lighter. On this peony, I'm making them darker and then blending out with lighter shades. And so I wanted it to be a little bit darker, so I brought in Dahlia Purple, which is Prismacolor 1009. So then doing a little blending out there. I went darkest to lightest. And then I did something similar on the third flower, but not exactly, because I wanted them to all to be similar but different, because no 2 flowers are alike, so I didn't want them to be exactly the same. So here I'm blending everything out using white, and then I'll get in there and do a little bit more shading, and then color in the centers. Okay, so then moving on the right hand part of the bouquet are these darling little, I think, posies. So I'm coloring them light pink. They're just teeny tiny flowers. Coloring all the petals the light pink, the rose, Prismacolor 929. Just doing the little circles. There's not going to be much shading on these. Actually, there's not going to be any shading. I'm just going to come in with the white pencil once I've got these all colored in, and just lightly go over the tips of each petal so there's highlights on the tips. And then I'm going to come in with the center and use canary yellow for the center of all of these. So I try to keep it not too many colors so that it all looks cohesive. I mean, I could have made those daisies yellow as well. That would have gone pretty with the foil and then the pinks. But I love a white daisy, a Shasta daisy. Those are my favorite. I've got them growing in my garden. They're actually up. April in Minnesota, you don't get a lot of things. Well, you do get some things up, but they're not a spring flower, but they are up. So here I'm coloring the berries now. So the main part of the berry, I colored in mulberry, Prismacolor 995. Getting those done. And then I color a little bit of white on those as well, just to give them a little highlights. And then at the base of the berries, for a little bit of shadow, I use Dahlia Purple 1009. I'm getting a few highlights at the tips of each berry. And then I realized I missed some posies, so coloring those in. And now I'm at the base of the berries. So then I did color the stems green using the Kelly green, and I went over it lightly because I didn't want to dull the foil. And now I'm testing out my greens for the other leaves. And so those leaves, I started, oh, I must have missed a spot. I started with Peacock Green number 907. And that gave kind of a blue-green base. So I colored the entire leaves with that. And then I'll come in with Parrot Green 1006. And then with Grass Green 909. So first I'm laying down the blue-green. And then I do a little bit darker with a green-blue. The Parrot Green's more of a green-blue. So do the shading along the center of the stem and at the base. And then I come in with the grass green and do the darkest parts. And then I blend it with the white, and that is how I shade the leaves. Okay, so back to the marble. Okay, stencil from Hero Arts. And so the marble foil I found, it's stencil from Hero Arts. $2. It's called Scotch Create Foil I found. It was on clearance for $2. Silver out of Scotch Foil. Lying to you, I used silver from Siven Said stamps and Deco Foil. But I used the gold out of this. Silver from Siven Said stamps and Deco Foil. Gorgeous. But I used the gold out of this. It's beautiful. Look at that gorgeous. And I'll use it for some kind of masculine card. I'm not quite sure what yet. And I'll use it for some kind of masculine card. I'm not so again, it's just using an inexpensive stencil. But I love how that turned out. So again, it's just using an inexpensive stencil and some Deco Foil transfer duo. And then you just basically Deco Foil transfer pressing on the foil. So here I decided I just basically rubbing on or pressing on the foil. A background. So here I decided I wanted with the same foil that I had used on the project. With the same foil that I had double-sided used on the project. Stuck the foil to the back. I used double-sided. Now I'm measuring and trimming the panel. Stuck the foil to the back. Panels down to the size. And now I'm measuring and trimming. These are both going to have the foil panels down to the size black cardstock behind the foil panels. Because these are both going to have the foil panel. And I wanted to show that you don't have to buy those very expensive. And I wanted to show that you don't have to buy those very expensive. Oh, what do I want to say? Where you have all the what do I want to say, rectangle frames dies, where you have all the they're worth it rectangle frames. I have dies. Waffle flowers that are expensive, they're worth it I'm not gonna lie.
Lawn
I have
flans
waffle
are stitch,
flowers,
and I
waffle
have lawn
flowers are
flans.
not, and they're wonderful, but they're
lawn flans are
expensive.
stitch.
So if you don't have them,
Waffle flowers are not.
you can
and they're
eyeball it
wonderful,
and just
but they're
trim it down that
expensive.
way.
So
if you don't have them, you can
I used to
eyeball it
be,
and just trim it down
when the kids
that
lived
way.
at home, we did not have a lot of extra money.
I used
for
to be,
crafting, so I know exactly,
when the kids lived at home, we
how
did
some
not
people
have a
feel
lot of
that
extra
there's
money
just
for crafting, so I know exactly
not extra money for a lot of things.
how some people feel that there's just
It's amazing how much extra money you
not
have
extra
when the
money
kids
for a
grow
lot
up
of
and move
things.
out. It's amazing how much extra money you have.
So
when the
kind of
kids grow
eyeballing
up
what I
and move
want,
out.
be trimming a little more. So kind of eyeballing what I want, be trimming a little more. Yeah, you could see that gold there for a second on the daisies. It's so pretty. It adds so much. See that gold there for a second on the daisies.
In real life,
so pretty.
You can see that
it
gold,
adds
and it
so
just
much,
adds
especially
a level of charm.
in real
really
life.
Elevates the
you
card.
can see that gold, and it just adds a level of charm.
It really elevates the card.
So now we are going to adhere.
So now we are going to. Oh, we're stamping the sentiment. Okay, it for some reason took me forever to get.
We're stamping the sentiment.
I don't know what's wrong with
for
me.
some reason took me forever
to get the sentiment lined up.
So getting the sentiment lined up,
but it took forever.
And finally, I gave up on that.
So getting the sentiment lined up.
And finally, I gave up on that
part,
the lovely friend portion, and then added the two
the rest of the
later. The lovely friend portion.
So I'm using
and then added
the Simon Says stamp
later.
Powder.
So I'm using
and then
the Simon
Versamark
Says stamp
watermark ink
powder,
so that I can heat
and then
and
the
emboss
Versamark
using
watermark
Hero Arts
ink,
Detail Fine Black
so that I can heat
powder.
emboss using Hero Arts Detail Fine Black embossing powder
for this sentiment.
So I'm getting that on, and then heating up my embossing tool,
so getting
and
that
going from the
on.
back, and then heating up my embossing tool.
Isn't that
going
font?
From the back.
That font is
gorgeous, just gorgeous.
Isn't that font? That
and
font
this is
gorgeous.
Just
from the Simon Says
gorgeous.
Stamp Be Kind stamp set.
And this is,
and it's a beautiful stamp
from
set.
the Simon
I don't
Says
know why I
Stamp
haven't used it in a video yet. I need
set.
to.
And it's a beautiful stamp
Put that
set.
on the
I
list.
don't know why I
that
haven't
font
used it in a video
is
yet.
stunning.
I need
So
to.
I'm cleaning up. Put that on the list. That font
Getting
is just
all of this
stunning. So I'm cleaning
up
away so I can add the. So it says
Getting
thanks,
all of
and then I'm
this
adding 2A.
put away so I
and then
can
it says
add
lovely
the-
friend. So it says thanks, and then I'm adding 2A, and then it says
So
lovely
getting
friend.
that done.
And heat
So
embossing
getting that done.
And heat embossing that. And then I'll be moving on to the other card. So this is about as
And then
clean
I'll
and
be
simple as
moving
I get on
on
a card.
to
The other card.
I like
So
all
this
the
is about as
things on a
clean and
card. Look at
simple
that
as I get on a
gold
card.
foil shine.
It's so
I
pretty.
like all
So I
the
thought
things
I
on
would
a
do a
card. Look at
raised
that
sentiment,
gold foil
and then I
shine.
changed my
It's so
mind.
pretty.
I thought, no,
So I
we're just
thought I
gonna
would
do
do
it
a
all in one
raised
layer.
sentiment.
And then I changed
So
my
I'm
mind.
using
and I thought, no,
Gina
we're just
K's
gonna do it
Lovely
all in one
Words
layer.
stamp set.
The font.
So
on
I'm
this is
using
fantastic as
Gina
well.
K's
It's
Lovely
very different.
Words. It's a
Stamp
little more
set. The
casual
font on
than
this
the
is
other one.
fantastic as well. It's very different,
And it's beautiful.
It's a little more
Just
casual
beautiful,
than the other
'cause
one.
it's a
mix of different. Oh, pardon
and
my
it's
head.
beautiful.
It's a
Just
mix of
beautiful, 'cause
different.
it's a mix of
fonts.
different.
Oh, pardon my head.
It's a
So
mix
again,
of different
using the anti-static
fonts.
powder tool from Simon Says Stamp, and the Versamark
So again,
watermark
using the
ink,
anti-static powder tool
and
from
then I'm
Simon Says
using this
Stamp,
Wow
and the Versamark
embossing
watermark
powder,
ink,
and then
in
I'm
golden
using this
flame.
Wow
And it
embossing
matches
powder, Gina K's
in golden
Sweet Mango
flame.
foil,
And it
perfectly. Plus
matches
there's glitter in it.
Gina
I mean, what's
K's
not to
Sweet
love?
Mango foil.
It's a
Perfectly
beautiful,
beautiful
beautiful glitter in it. I mean, what's not to
embossing
love?
powder.
It's a beautiful, beautiful. So getting that all cleaned up,
Embossing powder.
and then we will start getting the.
So getting that all cleaned up.
Card panels
And then we will
adhered
start
to
getting
their
the,
foil panels.
Card panels.
So
adhered
for this
to-
one,
adhered
I'm
to their
using
foil panels.
the 3M foam tape.
So for this one, I'm
And
using
for the other one, I just glue it down. The 3M foam tape. And for the other one, I just glue it down. So getting that lined up, and again, I'll need to trim just a little more off because I was eyeballing
that
it.
lined
up, and again, I'll need to trim just a little more off
And
because I was
that's all right.
eyeballing it. So look how pretty.
and that's all right.
Again, so this
I was using Catherine Puller's Valencia sequins here, and they were just too
I was
bright
using
of an orange. I
Catherine
needed
Puller's
a
Valencia sequins here,
an
and they were
orange with
just
a
too
little
bright
more
of an orange.
brown
I needed
and
a little less
an
fluorescent
orange
orange.
with a little more brown.
So I played with these and
and
played
a
with
little
these.
less fluorescent orange. again, I like to show the struggle. I played with these and played with these. Again, I like to show the struggle because I don't know, you know, some people put their video ups and everything looks perfect and easy, and you know, some people put their video ups and everything looks perfect and easy, and I just feel like it keeps it real. I like to show the struggle. So moving the sequins around and just not loving them at all. So moving the sequins around and just not loving them at all. They are too bright, and I could have done a pink and a white. But instead, I went and grabbed. I could have done a pink Catherine Puller's and a white King's Canyon, and it instead I went and grabbed Catherine Puller's King's Canyon, and it had the deeper burnt orange three that of the little ones around the sentiment, and then I'll put bigger ones. I'm putting three of the little ones around the sentiment, around the floral, and then I'll put bigger ones. And I decided right then and there that those were good around the floral. So what I had done was glued down. And I decided right then and there that those were good. But in the Valencia, so what I had done was glued flower sequins. So I glued those in the middle. But in the Valencia, there's little flower sequins. So I glued those in the middle. I did end up adding a couple sequins around the daisies, and it turned out so cute. I did end up adding a couple sequins around the daisies. So here then I'm gluing down this panel, left hand side of the card. And again, so here then I'm gluing down this foil panel just a little bit. And again, I'll have to end up trimming the foil panel just a little bit once I get it adhered. But that's fine. Once I get it adhered. But that's fine. So I'm gluing the panel to the card base, and I had trimmed it out in black cardstock, and it's just construction paper. It's not cardstock. You see 1/8 of an inch of it, so I wasn't using the good paper. So I had to go get another sheet. So I get this one trimmed out as well in the black cardstock. I add that to my card base. There we go. And now I add my card panel. And now I'm going to come in with some Altenew enamel dots. And then I'm looking for what else. And I kind of wanted gold, so I'm rummaging through, didn't like that gold. So I'm using Spellbinder's Fashion Gold embellishments as well. So I start out with the black, and I'm using the smallest ones. I'm having a hard time getting them off. So now I'm going to come in with the Spellbinder's Gold. And I believe I'm using a small and then a medium of those on this card. Yep, it's a small and then a medium. So I have a black, small, and medium for each section. And so that'll finish off that card. All right, so here's the card finished. And these, again, I made using Deco Foil Transfer Gel and used heat on that. Look at the pretty gold. Oh, I love that card. And then this card panel, I used the Hero Art Spice Market, and I dabbed on using a foam blender, the Deco Foil Transfer Gel, and then used Deco Foil Rainbow Shattered Glass, and it is such a gorgeous, look at that. Such a gorgeous foil. Love that. Can't wait to make that into a card. And then this is the Pretty Pink Posh Birthday Words, using the Deco Foil Transfer Gel and the Deco Foil Rainbow Shattered Glass. So this was all done with heat. Worked out beautifully. So then the next set is using the Deco Foil Transfer Duo. And this is where you can either run it through your die cutting machine or run it through heat. You have your choice. So this first card, again, using the Simon Says Stamp Floral Bliss stamp set, I used Gina K Deco Foil Sweet Mango foil, and I used heat. I ran it through my Mink. Worked beautifully with a stamp. This stencil is with the Deco Foil Transfer Duo, and I used a Hero Art stencil called Marbling, and I used Deco Foil in turquoise, and Simon Says Stamp Deco Foil in silver, and then Scotch gold foil. These I had issues with, these stamps, because again, I used a foam stamp that had dried transfer gel on it, and it caused issues. Again, this panel too. It was the same stamp, but because I did not use a good tool, I didn't get a good result. It's still usable. I can use about 2/3 of that panel, so I will figure it out, but I cannot use any of the sentiments. So thanks so much for stopping by. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.